the next is about the radical social work. So, this radical social work is a theoretical framework and practice approach that seeks to challenge the status quo and work towards social justice. It is based on the belief that social problems are caused by structural inequalities such as poverty, racism, and sexism. Radical social workers believe that these inequalities can only be addressed through collective action and social change. Radical social work seeks to address the root cause of social problems by challenging and changing oppressive structure and systems. It is committed to social justice, human rights, and the empowerment of marginalized communities. While it faces challenges, it remains a vital and dynamic force within the broader field of social work. So, radical social work is again as an important area of social work, which is aligned with the social action approach or social action method. This idea of radical social work is politically committed to approach that critique and seeks to the changes that existing in social order. It focuses on addressing the structural cause of social problem, targeting the root of the inequality and operation rather than just the symptoms. So not just working on the symptoms, rather just also working on to how to enhance the overall situation and work on this inequality aspect. Radical social work approach or advocate for systematic change, challenging oppressive policies and structural that sustain the social injustice. So this radical social work has been adopted by in a present day situation is to be adopted in a present day situation is important. As let's talk about some of its definition, as Paul Corrigan and Peter Leonard has in 1978 talk about the radical social work as a political commitment to critique of the existing social order and then development of strategies to challenges and change it. As Janice Wood in 1999 says that radical social work emphasizes the need to address the structural determinant of social problem, focusing on the root cause of inequality and oppression rather than merely treating the symptoms. Liz Davies says that radical social work is a practice that confronts social justice or social injustice and inequalities by advocating for systematic change and challenging the oppressive structure and policies that perpetuate the injustice. So overall, if you look into all the definitions, it talks about that it's about the working on the existing social order and developmental strategies to challenge and change what to the existing social order. Then Janice Wood, if you look into this definition, it's focusing on the root cause of inequality and oppression rather than just merely treating the symptoms. So working the root cause of anything. So it's mainly talking about that person in environment. So persons, if you're just working with the person, that is you are actually providing some kind of a cure to that patient. But if you have to create a sustainable cure for that, so you have to bring the change into the environment. As this definition, the gist of this definition is, Les Davis says that radical social is a practice that confronts social injustice and inequalities by advocating the systematic change and challenging the oppressive structure and policy that perpetuate these injustices. So, working on the injustice aspects through which we can bring the justice into the society. If you look into, after the analysis of all this definition, we can be easily define the features of radical social work. Radical social work is actually focused on a structural cause of social problem. Radical social work believes that social problems are not caused by individuals failing, but by the way of society is structured. Right? So they focus on identifying and challenging the root cause of these problems such as poverty, inequality, and discrimination. A commitment to social justice. Radical social work believes that everyone has the right to live a life of dignity and freedom. A focus on empowerment. So radical social workers believe that people have the power to change their own lives and then world around them through just by giving some kinds of their space for their own for their own betterment through understanding of their own issues and identifying and developing the solution for the same. So they work to empower individuals and communities to take control of their own lives and fight for social change. So this is what the features of radical social work. And this, the ideology and the grounds of this radical social work has been somewhere based on the philosophy of Saul Alinsky, radical ideology. So Solenisky, born on 30th January 1909 in Chicago, Illinois, and then best known as the father of community organizing. So community organization, when we talk about, we have to take the Solenisky ideology. So Solenisky ideology in the community organization and social action is more towards the radicality and radical social work. So Saul Alinsky is one of the founder of modern neighborhood organizing, reflected deeper into the different approaches of community organization. According to Alinsky, social change and community organization can primarily both reformist and revolutionary, or either of the two. Depending on how fundamental the social changes are, which are sought to be, means on which problems and issues you are working with. So as you talk about that, it's more reformist or revolutionary approach. So here, Solenisky presented two distinct approaches or traditions to neighborhood organizing. According to him, social change and community organization and social action could be either primarily reformist or revolutionary, depending on how fundamental the changes are which are sought. Solenisky distinguished between these two primary approaches of reformist or revolutionary. Reformist and revolutionary, according to Alinsky, these approaches depend on the depth and type of social changes pursued within the community. Reformist community organization plus social production tradition, as we are going to discuss later on, is actually works within the system to secure resources for community needs. And revolutionary organizing is about provides resources within aiming to transform control and distribution structures. So looking into this reformist organizing, this approach aims for incremental change within the existing social and political structure. Reformist organizers work within the system, seeking adjustment that improve community condition without radically altering the overall power dynamics of our social order. They focus on issues like better public services, affordable housing, and fairer policies, aligning with institutional norms to achieve this improvement. Whereas in the revolutionary approach or organizing is what? Is this approach seeks fundamental systematic transformation, aiming to overall the power structure and social system together. Revolutionary organizers pursue change by challenging, confronting, or even dismantling existing institutions and norms that perpetuate inequality or oppression. Rather than compromise, the revolutionary approach calls for a re-envisioned social order that addresses the root cause of community struggles. So, next is about the social mobilization approach. So this approach renders an activity community members to collectively apply pressure on those in power with the goal of compelling them to meet the community's demands. So this social mobilization approach core strategy goal is to get community members to act together. So that is what the bringing the community members together to gain power through the people's participation. So people's participation is another aspect of social mobilization as per the Alinsky. This is based on assumption that such mass mobilization will make those in power comply with the demands of the community. In this approach, emphasis on the mobilizing effort by the community, contracting people and actually encouraging them to become socially and politically active. Social mobilization tradition encourages people to actually petition vigorously, protest, carry out demonstration, and not to fear direct action and confrontation. Social mobilization efforts are, in other words, labeled as a campaigns for they utilize collective power to create change. So it's mainly about how to through people's participation and through social mobilization one can go with the campaign aspect. Social production approach is what? It was social mobilization approach, now social production approach. In this approach, the strategic goal is to acquire services, material goods, and resources for the community members in need. The core emphasis on achieving the outcome, helping those in a need with the problem they face. This traditional focus on this social production approach, this actually focus on the directly addressing community needs by acquiring goods, services, or sources for individuals or groups facing specific challenges. The social production initiatives are usually labeled as projects, for they are primarily endeavors to create services that benefit those in need directly. Alinsky laid emphasis on power, pressure, and high-profile public action and intervention. So here it's mainly about the project concerned, while the social mobilization is mainly as a campaign. So this is the major, these two terms please keep in mind. Social mobilization approach mainly labeled as campaign, while social production approach mainly labeled as a project. But both approaches highlight different pathways to community empowerment only, with social mobilization using collective action to apply pressure for challenge, while social production builds practical solutions through cooperation and resource distribution. Alinsky philosophy for this radical social work: the poor, the powerless, the deprived have the fight to decide for themselves how they should live, and what services should be offered to them. So that is the right to self-determination. The poor can solve their own problems if given the opportunity and the means. So the ability of the poor to solve their own problem is the giving the kind of the capacity and believing in the capacity of the individuals. In order to do this, the poor must have some power. This is the power is the means to solve the problem. I mean, they develop some kind of the empowerment. There are two sources of power: money and people. Poor people don't have money, so their only source of power is themselves. That is the human as in power. Therefore, they must organize. So this is what the suggestion of Alinsky, because if they don't have the resources, any material resources, they can go with the social capital, strong social capital. That is the source of power. So the source of power is here, the numbers, and their organization. The more they unite, and the more in number they unite, the more the power they would exert to the status quo and to ask for their rights. The people's organization is based on self-interest. Self-interest means seeking power. So this is the basic goal of organization, is to seek power. The poor people organization uses direct action methods. It engages in conflict with those whom it sees as exploitation and enemies of the poor. It uses conflict as a deliberate strategy. So they use conflict as a deliberate strategy to gain power. So deliberate strategy is what is whole soul planning, and then how to implement that and intervene into that. That should be very much planned. Next is about the Paul Freire and then conscientization, as in the ideology and the philosophy behind the radical social work. So who was Paul Freire? Paul Freire was a Brazilian educator and philosopher who developed a unique model of education known as the conscientization. Freire believed that education should be a tool for liberation, as Jyotiba Phule has believed. So, and their individuals could only be truly free if they understood the social, economic, and then political structure that oppressed them. We have witnessed that how this middle class of India during the British period, like the Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Mahatma Gandhi, and many more, who have actually acquired, or even B.R. Ambedkar, who got the chance to get a good education, the modern education, they changed their own thought process and brought changes to the society. So truly, I mean, Paul Freire is believe in the education as the strongest tool that bring the changes into the society. Freire asserted that education can never be neutral. Either it is an instrument for liberation people, or it is used to dominate and empower them. So to avoid being a tool of oppression, education needs to involve a new relationship between the teacher and the student, as well as within the society. So key concept of Freire's approach is conscientization. Conscientization is the process of critical consciousness or critical conscious raising through some kind of a dialogue, reflection, and action. So he was actually against of that the traditional classroom teaching. Rather, he was giving a more importance to the dialogue delivery, the interaction between the teacher and the student, the interactions between the haves and haves not that way. So through this all kind of the interaction, the different set of ideology would come, and then the new kind of after this whole brainstorming, the new things has been emerged. So this involves the examining and acting on the root cause of oppression and experienced in the here and now. So after all the kind of the conscientization, that means the critical consciousness raising after the dialogue delivery, after the whole discussion, it would be easy to bring changes in the all the parties, in the haves as well as to the haves not. It is cornerstone to ending the culture of silence, in which operation is not mentioned and thereby maintained, in what he referred to as the archaeology of consciousness. So he was so much about the conscientization, consciousness, conscious, dialogue delivery, new kind of the education system where more discussion has been required. It was the role of the educator to foster a process of dialogue and liberation that would enable citizens to reach, some kind of the consciousness. It is here that we see a clear link between Ferreira's work and the concept of central to social work. That is what the empowerment. So here, as we have also witnessed in the Phule's aspect, that how education can bring the empowerment. We have also seen that in the social action and social work, how creating awareness, giving the space to participate, people became more empowered. That is what the Ferreira's ideology. He proposed a participatory and democratic method of learning and action based on the principles of problem posing, critical thinking, and praxis. The Freire approach is often used by popular education and human rights organizations that aim to foster empowerment and social change. Freire identified three different levels of political awareness: magical consciousness, naive consciousness, and then critical consciousness. What are these? This Paul Ferreira actually in his influential work on education and social change described three levels of consciousness that people experience in relation to their understanding of the world and social reality. So magical consciousness is what? At this level, people actually perceive their situation as fixed or predetermined, attributing their hardship to fate, luck, or external forces beyond their control. What they believe that whatever happening in their life is because of their fate and because of some external forces on which they cannot do anything. So they feel powerless to change their condition and may not question the social structure that actually perpetuate their situation. So where the silences would be there when the community and the disadvantaged members of the community who believe that whatever happening is because of the fate and they cannot do into this. Naive consciousness is the next level. Here, people begin to recognize their struggle and are aware of social issues but lack a deep understanding of the systematic, roots of these problems. They may attribute issues to individuals failing or isolated circumstances rather than seeing them as a part of broader social and political context. So here, at this level, people now started identifying the issues and then concern, but it's not our collective things. They don't consider it as because of social structure. It's because of someone's own reasons and could be, looking the things from very, in a different sets, not as a holistically, as in system. As a system approach says that the things in the system lies in having a lot of the subsystem and everything is so much interrelated to that. So but naive consciousness is the one level ahead to the magical consciousness, where they now started understanding and identifying the deep understanding of systematic roots of these problems, but they may attribute issues to individual failing or isolated circumstances rather than seeing them as a part of broader social and political context. So things has been happened because from one's own aspect and some communities' reasons, not as a whole system. Critical consciousness, where he actually argued for and in opinion of. So this highest level of awareness involves a profound understanding of the structural causes of social issues. People with critical consciousness recognize how power and operations shape their realities and activities and actively seek to challenge and change until system through collective action and empowerment. Like the things around the gender, so much been, the lot of inequalities around gender is because of the kind of the very imbibed social reality that has been developed because of the socialization, and that need to be re-socialized and de-socialized. That could be possible only through some kind of a critical consciousness when they actually realize that this social reality is not actually the reality has been it is a socially constructed reality and it could be changed, right? So overall, Freire's framework emphasizes the importance of education and dialogue in helping people move from magical consciousness to name consciousness and to the critical consciousness, enabling them to become agents of change in their own lives and in communities. So that we have all witnessed that. I have already given the example of Jyotiba Phule, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Sir Sayyid Khan, and Mahatma Gandhi, B.R. Ambedkar. So they all were actually, after having the modern educations, they actually, their thought process have been changed, and they started moving from, their thoughts has been changed from the magical consciousness. Maybe at their very initial of their life, their mind somewhere the magical consciousness, or they belong to the society where the majority of the community were in the magical consciousness state. Then with some kind of the awareness generation, they became the naive consciousness, and then later on because of this all the kind of changes they have actually brought into the social sphere, social structure, is because of the critical consciousness happened. So key concepts used by the Freire in the conscientization model is consciousness is the prime important that we have already discussed. That conscientization aims to raise critical consciousness, which is the ability to reflect on one's own experiences and recognize the way in which they are influenced by the broader social structure, from magical to the more, from magical to more critical conscious. Then praxis. It refers to the integration of theory into practice. In the conscientization model, individuals learn by doing and reflecting on their experiences. This approach actually emphasizes the importance of action and transformation rather than simply acquiring knowledge. So, just taking the information and knowledge and without implementing them and not thought about to bring any kind of, means you became aware of something, but you don't actually dare to take action to create kind of change into that reality is not okay as per the Freire. So praxis is what, after getting the education, after getting the information, after having all those skill, now it's a time to implement those and bring changes. So that is what this integration of theory into the practice is considered to be prime important by the Freire. Then dialogical learning. It's another key concept of conscientization model. It is a process of exchange between individuals where both parties are seen as an equal partners in the learning process. This approach encourages individuals to think for themselves, questioning authority and work towards social change. Then next is the critical consciousness. It is another, central concept in the conscientization model. It refers to the ability to reflect on one's experience and recognize the way in which they are influenced by broader social structure. That is what critical consciousness, that is the center of this conscientization. Operation and liberation. It's after having all this information and then critical consciousness, dialogical learning, now you are in position for the liberation and operation and liberation, understanding of operation and do in the liberation and participate in the liberation. Conscientization model aims to empower individuals to challenge oppressive structure and work towards liberation. The model emphasizes the importance of collective action and solidarity in achieving social transformation. Advocacy is the pursuit of influencing outcomes, including public policy and resources allocation decision within political, economic, and social system and institution that directly affects people's current lives. So, this advocacy is also the important aspect after the conscientization. Therefore, advocacy can be seen as a deliberate process of speaking out on issues of concern in order to exert some influences on behalf of the ideas or persons. Based on these definitions, Cohen states that ideologically of all persuasion advocates to bring a change in people's lives. However, advocacy has many interpretation depending on the issues at stake, which can be different from the initial value neutral definition. So it's again very important after the understanding of all the Alinesky and then Freire's ideology of radical social work. It's also important to understand the advocacy part. Forms of advocacy, because advocacy is important for the radical social work as well as for the social action aspect. Forms of advocacy include ideological advocacy, mass advocacy, and interest group advocacy. So ideological advocacy is what in this approach groups fight, sometimes during protests, to advance their ideas in the decision-making circles. That is the ideological advocacy. Next is mass advocacy. In any type of action taken by large groups on petition or demonstration, that is what the mass advocacy. Interest group advocacy is what lobbying is the main tool used by interest groups doing mass advocacy. It is a form of action that does not always succeed at influencing political decision makers, as it requires social or organization to be effective. So that is what the interest group advocacy. Bureaucratic advocacies, people considered experts have more chance to succeed at presenting their issues to decision makers. So they use bureaucrats advocacy to influence the agenda, however, at a slower pace. So once they actually influence some bureaucrats and making them understand, so that bureaucrats became as an advocate on behalf of that issue, on behalf of that community. Legislative advocacy is the reliance on the state or federal legislative process as part of strategy to create changes. So believing into sometimes legislative advocacy is important, because sometimes if your things is so if you want to bring changes into some very larger aspect that needs some kind of the legal support system, that is comes through the legislative advocacy. Media advocacy is now we have seen that Me Too, and there are many media advocacy has been there. The strategy use of the mass media as a resources to advance social or public policy initiatives. Public insurance campaign illustrate how media advocacy was used to fight alcohol and tobacco related health issues, and many other issues we have already talked about, that how the Keto and many organizations are also doing the pooling of the funds and all through some kind of the mass advocacy on behalf of someone's health issues and someone's on behalf of some communities concern or some gender concerns. In the raising awareness, advocacy helps bring social issues to the attention of the public, and decision makers encourage more people to get involved in social action. Building support networks, that advocacy can help mobilize communities and create networks of allies which strengthen the impact of social action efforts. Influencing policy change. While social action address immediate community needs, advocacy pushes for long-term structural change in policies or practice that address root cause of social issues. Providing resources and tools. Through advocacy efforts, communities gain access to resources, tools, and knowledge that empower them to continue their work and pursue sustainable change. So this is all about the today's session. We discussed the Paul Ferreira's and Alinsky ideology of social activism and in the community organization and even the radical social work. We have discussed about the different social movements that happened in India. We have discussed about the different reform movements in India, like the approaches by the many revolutionary, like the Paul, like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Jyotiba Phule, B.R. Ambedkar, Mahatma Gandhi. Then we have discussed a number of the movements like the Chipko movements and many more. So this is all about the today's lecture. Thank you so much.